I'll do my part. So I start talking to him, right? And sure enough, he's crying, right? And he's just looking at me, not saying it, he's looking at me, right? And so they
so Antoinette, how do I look? My head, is my head chopped?
It's right at the top.
Okay, just tilt it back a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start. I'm going to forego the usual procedures, procedurally, Grand Balloons, Chronosynclastic Infundibula. Chronosynclastic Infundibula, anybody get, no? Yeah, yes. And Grand Balloons.
stepped in what?
Thank you, Grand Balloons and Chronosynclastic Infundibula. We're here, as a sacred grounds. Welcome yourselves. Give yourselves a round of applause because you're here. Don't applaud for me because I'm not here. I left home without it. Thank you so much. We're going to start in a few moments. The feature is a set of people from Santa Cruz, and they're on their way. So there's 4 or 5 of them, and it's a slam team, and I'll tell you more about them when they arrive, and or if they don't arrive, I will then tell you more about them. But they're on their way. They know they know where it is. I sent them all the information theoretically. Because they told me. Yeah. They said, "We'll be there. Can you put this on the website?" And I said, "Not at 6 o'clock in the afternoon when I'm going and leaving." So anyway, so we will begin in a moment. The keynote is Mr. Owen Dunkel, so give him a round of applause as he comes up here. Oh, the God! Oh, the theme. Oh, yeah. Let me hold on a second. Let me do that. The theme is unforgiving. Unforgiving. And I'm going to go through the door prizes. I should have done that. Sorry about that. Alice Walker, The Temple of My Familiar. Inside is a flyer about my appearances and also Sally Saunders events.
Shameless promotion.
Yes. Rudolph Nureyev, A Life in Dance. Nice pictures, some good text. Again, these same inserts. This is So Far Afield, Frederick Spears. This is actually nice, as opposed to it's not nice. Tipping the Velvet. I will let you take the consequences of what that might be having to do. There is a mysterious prize here, which shall be named nameless. And if you want one of these and did not get one of these, I'm giving these away this evening. Martin Joseph got a bunch of them. He thought they was a hoot, and every time I handed it to someone tonight, they laughed. They thought it was funny. And then The Short, Sweet Dream of Eduardo Gutierrez by Jimmy Breslin. Jimmy Breslin, a well-known writer. Okay. So we got that. And if those don't float your boat, there's one you can be the last word, which tonight is Rob. Choose the theme or prompt. I forgot who gave me Unforgiving. Who gave me Unforgiving?
I did.
Thank you. So Richard Sanderell gave us Unforgiving from last week. The mini feature, which this evening is not only Tommy Avocola-Mecca, but we have a special guest who's going to follow him, Terry McCarty, right over there. Tommy Avocola-Mecca, where are you? Oh, there we go. So they're right next to each other. They can duke it up. And then the co-pilot, give this individual a round of applause, please. She's tolerating me more than most people do. And the keynote, which is Owen Dunkel, who can now come forward and deliver the keynote address of the evening. Give him a round of applause, please. Come on, they don't hear the round of applause out there. Snap it up, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just about sick and tired of being sick and tired. There we go.
Okay, thank you. I'll read some Ezra Pound.
Good old Ez.
Yes, a V&O, Ballad of the Gibbet, of the Song of the Sixth Companion. Drink ye gallows, a skull to the gallows tree, Francois Margot, and thee and me. Drink ye the comrades merrily that said us till then for the gallows tree. For Pierre in the book, Gauche Main, Thomas the Rude, Eat the Less, Tybalt and the Armoress, who gave the punk guard its premise stain, pinning the guys that had been feigned to make him a model of the hot noblesse, and bade him bade her be out without ill address, as a fool that mocketh his Drew's disdain. Drink we a skull to the gallows tree, Francois and Margot, and thee and me. Drink ye Marianne, ye low, that hath the hell brown out her or her cruelty. Drink with the lusty robbers twain, black as the pitch of their wedding dress. Lips shrunk back for the wind's caress. As lips shrunk back, we feel the strain of love that loveth in hell's disdain, and sink the teeth through the lips that press against our lips for the soul's distress that stritheth to ours across the pane. Drink we a skull to the gallows tree, Francois and Margot, and thee and me, and Gibbon and Raoul de Valerie, whose Franks have the right and the winds in fee, Mathurin Galame, Jacques Alemain, Caldu lacking a coat to bless our lean moiety of his nakedness, that plundered St. Hubert back with the fame. Aye, the lean berry tree is widowed again, for Mecca laboured the would confess in faith and truth to a traitoress which of his brothers hath he slain. But drink we a skull to the gallows tree, Francois and Margot, and thee and me. These that we loved shall God's love bless. The smite that hath at their fatal nest. Skull to the gallows, then pray we. God damn this hell out speedily, and bring their souls back to his hot city. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Oh, and here you go. Let's put the name of the caller. Now we have Bob. Bob. And after Bob, we have Buford, then Owen coming back to read his own. And we have the Honorable Hal Robbins, Antoinette, the co-pilot, Britt Peter Mon, cursive writer, myself, Sharon Scott Kish of the Kansas City Kishes, and then the legendary collective 2018 Slanting, that's their name. They come from Santa Cruz. And there's several people involved with that.
All right, I'm going to read a short one, though it's 4 pages to start with. I have expectations you didn't know, and you expect Adele, who does not have either. You always don't have either. One or the other is altogether both. To be ridiculed is there must be a way to get all of them, oh, up here, etc. That's all why I called. The $50 trillion voices contain contents, contain throats, contain CC colas, dribble, drizzle, lemon, wawa, sickle, lance, genie, oh, logic, know some, know better, oh, no better, to know ever to once again. Be not proud. Chicken sandwich poem that I'm prime evil bread safe in the receipt bill drawer, cycle over and out. And buy, cycle over and out. Wrap knuckles under. I know you with your poor rich eyes, with your green red nose, with your pale red lips, with your hairy twat and touch the dirt penis. I know you with your craps in the street, with your balls and net tennis, and with your music projecting from your white Mercedes or your dandy pink. Oh, I know you, with your rush for gold, with your Mary Jane pipes, with the stories you've told about getting along, your office of street corners, or with walls of glass. I, the other, to tackle their ass. I know you, with your battles for supremacy, getting your kicks from the pusher, the pharmacy, straight as a wire, loving, crave, and desire because they sell, sell, sell. Oh, I know you so well. It's your odorless shit, your invisible pee trampled with crowds, passing for dogs, your money earned and your money burned. Philly citizens, wherever you turn, I know you, your upturned palms in church singing psalms, or begging for alms and saying, it was he, not me, it was him, not her, hating him for her and her for him. I know you for games that no one can win. I know you for making a history that sits on the life of whomever you see. I know you, I know you, I know you. That's not it. The votes of this country, the voters of this country devoted to technology like brains gone flat. I hate your existence. I deplore your ways. I abhor your greed. May your need come to you, the kind that is true. May you sleep in your graves till eternity is through. May your dream be of me when you've read my words. For your life is travesty. Your life is absurd.
Yeah.
And I just want to announce that the teachers have arrived, so give them a round of applause. I told you they'd be here. Any place you want to sit is fine. Okay, so we already got underway, and we will advise you in accordances and in due course and considerations. I'm fabricating right now, so we've got to see this. All right. Thank you, Bob. All right. Are you want to sign in? Are you gonna read? Oh, okay. Then when do you put your name? Yeah, you got 5 minutes. Yeah, put your name in. You're in the second half, and that's a while, but that's okay. All right, let me, who's, sorry about that delay at the end. Oh, Buford. Buford is next. Sorry, I should have remembered that. Buford, ladies and gentlemen. Let's have some applause out there. Let's this week go. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. You've heard him before. You know what he does. Okay, thank you very much. My time is up.
Okay, this is a really old poem that I did. It's really short. It's called, it's untitled, and this is the way it goes. I do things differently. Individuality clings like a bright coat. That was written around 1988 and was published in Poet Talk magazine of Berkeley. And here, this one I wrote today. That's right. Oh, come on now. Be nice.
Yeah.
Or I'll start screaming at you. Academic problems. Okay, so I have students with all these huge barriers to their academics, but they're cute. They do things such as smile sweetly, hug me out of nowhere, or have this puzzled look coming from a Down syndrome face. One of my main students just writes in circles, so I have to direct his hand with mine, simply called hand over hand, in order to get him to produce letters, words, and sentences, which he's required to do as a just turned 15-year-old. He lives in a shelter with his 2 siblings and his mother. Sometimes he bites his own hand, I suppose out of nervousness. I love it when he hugs me.
Well, you're redundant. And who's the next one now?
And the next one is Hal.
The mighty, the well-known, the regarded raconteur, bon vivant.
And the theme is Unforgiving,
Unforgiving, yes.
from George Gordon, Lord Byron. When we two parted, in silence and tears, half broken-hearted, to sever for years, pale grew thy cheek, and cold, colder thy kiss. Surely that hour foretold sorrow to this. The dew of the morning sunk chill on my brow. It felt like a warning of what I feel now. Thy vows are all broken, and light is thy fame. I hear thy name spoken, and share in its shame. They name you before me, a knell to mine ear. A shudder comes o'er me. Why wert thou so dear? They know not I knew thee, who knew thee too well. Long, long shall I rue thee, too deeply to tell. In secret we met, in sorrow I grieve, that the heart could forget, that thy spirit deceive. If I should meet thee, after long years, how should I greet thee? With silence and tears.
Good.
Any more time? I have a little more time, and so another poem about breaking up is by the 16th century poet Michael Drayton, who is mostly known for his long epic work, The Nymphidia, which is about tiny little people who ride on dragonflies and have tournaments with other people on beetles and so forth. It's not very often read today. But he did write this strangely modern sounding poem about a breakup of romantic love, one line of which became a novel by John D. MacDonald, if you know who that is. So, since there's no help, come, let us kiss and part. Nay, I have done, you'll get no more of me. And I am glad, yea, glad with all my heart, that thus so cleanly I myself can free. Shake hands forever, cancel all our vows, and should we meet at any time again, be it not seen in either of our brows that we one jot of former love retain. Now at the last gasp of love's latest breath, when his pulse failing, passion speechless lies, when faith is kneeling by his bed of death, and innocence is closing up his eyes, now, if thou wouldst, when all have given him over, from death to life, thou mayest him yet recover. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hal Robbins.
Great house.
And give my co-host a round of applause, Antoinette Payne, coming up there now. Britt Peters follows, and Dudemont and the Curse of Brighter Than Me. Then the illustrious Sharon Scott Kish, who will regale us with the honors of the past and the future.
Now we forget to breathe. Staggering heat, hundreds of years of old tree roots deepen to shade us. Floods, hurricanes, rains, mudslides. Compromised roots do not hold on. She pounds down. Some ponds soak. Mosquitoes thrive. Fires burn across millions of acres. Winds push through dry land. Soil permeates sky. Grass held her sturdy where we once walked. Jagged ice melts, frozen stretches homes to polars, disappear to tiny coastlines. They perish. Birds in flight starve, seeds are few, burnt bark won't do, they spill down. Humans, people, beings scurry. I am creatures, rivers, forests, value, not driven for profit. Others pillage to gain. She is hazardous weathers, struggling to replant. Beyond me is what you see, she is calling. Sorry about that. Cold feet had more meaning since faith in the impossible had swelled in her soul. Joyfully she walked without shoes in the snow until another's tenderness claimed her. He needed her to walk fast so he could go on. She turned her head, he held her heart. And then one more, please.
All right. Very good.
Gatwick Airport travelers dressed down to meet poor, Christmas tea, forgotten bridges, broken brother, welcome back to motherland. We are so many, young, old, brown, blonde, humans, fat or black, reach out to prancing Asian gender queen, ableist bodies of children too, separated only by beliefs locked away and worn like flimsy costumes, tattered satin, wet wool.
Nice. Let Peter the Honorable will kindly come forth, or fifth, and
Got two poems about bulls. Nine, 12, 18, the Trump log. The aurochs, the ancient bulls. Dust and noise, damage. The man in the long red tie. Dust and noise, damage. The aurochs brought down by groups of Neolithic men. Arrows, spears, corralling lines, brought down and domesticated. The man in the long red tie. Those that can look away do. Those caught in his malevolent net suffer. Caskets in Puerto Rico. 1,600 empty desks in the EPA. Cholera in Yemen. See tomorrow's news for updates. It wasn't a pretty china shop to begin with. No place for this bull, his noise, damage, and havoc. There he is now, charging across the polished field toward the waiting, noisy helicopter. Bring him down, corral the following herd. It's time to create a few small miracles of our own, like the rediscovery and utilization of human warmth and service, and the domestication of large, out-of-control animals. A trip around San Antonio Valley, we saw a gold bull growing in a field near the dirt road. No statue or mirage. Roll down the window, listen to his breathing. Like a charter oak, he owned that meadow. We drove further into the rising valley, talked of war, 50s ball players, dryers or debt, but the early image had not passed from mind. On the way back, along the same road, we saw a fox running, and what might have been an eagle swooped across our path. And still unexplained where we left him. Beyond the fence, beyond menace, conjecture, or religious certitude, a gold bull growing in a field. This is for my friend Bob Stevens, who's got a birthday tomorrow.
thank you. Thank you, Britt. Dunamon was just over there. Is he?
He's out there. Doodle-on!
Dunamon, you're on, buddy.
out of time. What'd you bring me out here for? I told you I was scared. Shit on myself last week. Look, open it. Dig it up. Open it. Look, there's no meat on the bone. Look, the wickets when I come, run. Ah! We go back in time, back yonder. The year is 1854. The caning in the Senate. Darn that James Monroe, he's president. And he says we should give up our property. James Sumner from Missouri. James Monroe. Darn him. We Southerners, we should annex from the Union. They tell us to give up our property. Darn, man. Man in Montana. Man, and the sheep are nervous. But why? When you walk by your sheep, they don't shit on themselves. They get happy to see you. They just come beside you. And the guy said, how you do a U-turn? Bring me a U and I'll show you. Darn, ain't nothing like a sweet U. Ooh, man, I could not believe it. Darn that senator from Missouri. I would cane him, says James Sumner. What? He's talking again? And his brother Jerome Pratt had him a liquor, and he caned him in the Senate. He caned him. Oh, what a day of caning. That'll teach that carpetbagger something, that we should give up our property. We Southerners, we would annex from the Union because of that. And we would get those dumb Southerners to fight for us, and they could not. What? They didn't want them to pull a plow on the and how could this be? Caning in the Senate will be today. That Sumner will get a good caning from me. How dare that carpetbagger tell us to give up our property? You see? I will cut his tail cutting. And so I grabbed him and I cut his tail. I said, you tell me to give up my property, so I cut your tail. Ain't nothing like a caning in the Senate, you see.
Welcome.
Don McLean, Laurel Hardy, Frederick Nietzsche, Marlon Brando, Donald Sutherland. Now that disappoints me. He said he would be here.
Well, he's trying to get John Voight to.
I know. Isn't that disgusting? That brings us, since those individuals just happened to not be here, we will then proceed to the next illustrious reader of the evening. This would be the cursive writer, so called because he writes in cursive. And English is bilingual, just so you know. Notice he threw off the coat. He's ready.
Throw off the coat. James Brown is in town. He's now a white man, 72 years old. Poor James. He didn't know that was going to happen. I do feel good.
I feel good.
Stop it.
That's a great song.
I miss it. I really do. For those who might be bored by my words tonight, you can get even more bored at Cafe International on the last Friday of the month. All right. And there'll be music behind me.
Very good.
With me.
Thank you.
All right. Forgiving our fathers. Can we forgive our fathers, the ones who were missing in action, who really never cared, or would have no kid drag him down? Maybe their fathers did the same. for their sons and daughters. It's lonely out here. We think of you, not always in fondness. Can we forgive our fathers, the ones who could no longer cope with life because what life gives them, or those who just gave up, or were sent to war and lost most of their sanity, drank, snorted, too much to dull themselves, poly drug use? Can we forgive our fathers, for they know not what they do? Were they too young mentally to understand their role they null and void? Can we forgive our fathers for those silence, replacing it with treachery, teaching treachery of religion, patriotism, militarism, sexism? Can we forgive our fathers when they pass, never resolving these issues? Should we? We lost paradise. We lost paradise a long time ago. Chain, beat, shred, expose, dredged mine, scar, deforest, enslave, kill it for profit. Mother tries new life forms, but some two-legged demolished it for all. Mother grows tired, aging, but still resilient in the sixth extinction is about to be released. We lost paradise. It was here for a while, for all, but some two-legged can't take, but can never give back in support of life. Humanity isn't coping well with this climate change. Some say it's complicated. Humans made this complication, can't seem to understand it, what we wrought. We run from our aloneness, making our world reflect ourselves, not the creation before us. We've obliterated the sky in towns, cities, choke ourselves on mother's refuse called fuel. I hear Miles losing his mind as the world sets the self-destruct clock. Beat that music, let it out, containment is not possible. Yes, we shall be released. Walking, looking lost, don't know where we're headed. Nature devoid, we seem to be forever looking for something after someone told someone they should be dissatisfied with living in Elysia. This American Spirit thing. American Spirit cigarettes are popular, brought to you by the Uslan Company in pretense of honoring Native people. Claiming purity of product, they display Native man with sacred pipe, as if they understood the sacredness of this image. There are Native people supporters who find this image offensive. Indians used another resource as USA to make money by despoiling the sacred. American Spirit? Is that some sort of ghoulish, morbid joke? USA wouldn't know sacred if it came dancing in full conga line with timbales on top. Might as well dance like it's night 1491. Yes, this American Spirit thing. America means nothing since it was never called America before the pale ones came. The younger brother comes back, terrorizes elder for what they have. Land, resources, things younger brother eats, including their own American spirits. Oh, run to it. USA and that great thing. USA thinks and continues to be great. Ha! If you could take a bowl of the dead murdered for by USA's greatness would not be part of the lexicon. Nowhere to run. USA's where its lovely, ugly children called corporations make millions separating, ripping their mothers' children, more than likely never to be returned. Greatness? Rump just gets fatter and fatter and fatter as he eats young prepared by McDonald's. It will be USA who will give you the Soylent Green when things turn as they are now. Get ready, USA. We'll eat, 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 and eat all those illegals. We'll declare it a great thing. If you can't make them white, steal the children, raise them oosin and white. Give them guns, religion, sex, married only missionary style with a little rain so the profanity propagation continues. Paradise? You bet. Usa.
Next up is Dan Brady.
Yes, that's me. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry to be here. I did fail to bring my own materials with me, so I'm going to read, and I have been reading from the Haight-Ashbury Literary Arts Journal, so I'm going to continue that tradition. Luckily enough, I had this, so anyway. And the theme is unforgiving, so these three actually are related to unforgiving. But I'll give you a couple of my haiku just to give you a taste of them. First haiku goes like this. Oh, it's from 2012. You got to know that's the context here. This world's ending, not so much a concern as what comes next. And then, since that was such a depressing thing, I figured, well, I'll give them something to look forward to. And it goes, this one is planetary recipe. Start with iron, bring to a boil, add ice as needed, serves 10 billion. I like that. Okay, so this is by Eileen Malone. She's a California poet. She's actually featured here some time ago, but this is a nice little piece, and they're all three short pieces, but not all by her. This is called Blasted. In the Kabul terminal, an Italian baker of an Egyptian background is on his way home from foreign affairs in Afghanistan. Over tea, he talks to me about the caves. Many man-made, they are not mysterious caves, but have been lived in for years. Would rather not talk about blasted tunnels, bombed out cliffs, doesn't want to talk Northern Alliance or Taliban. Mentions the beautiful cranes, herons pausing to nest on the migratory way to India, and tens of thousands of ducks, geese, swans. How they stopped coming, skyfuls of them, wings trailing on wind, snapping like fine cloths. How his mind recoils as if before an abyss when he tries to comprehend empty, birdless skies. Nothing to be done about it. May as well enlighten me about their treasure trove of aquamarines, tourmaline, emeralds, lapis lazuli, the darkest blue, and spinel, which most people think are rubies. But they would be wrong. This is by Todd Bryan from Hellertown, Pennsylvania. Farm time. A 200-acre farm squats low on its dilapidated haunches. In the cold November mud, the dark, rickety barns sinister, and the worn-out tractors silent, though they tell an endless story of age and weather. The farmer wears as many seasons as the land he tills. Slowly, without agility, he will forever work those same fields. His children have moved away to distant suburbs. The farmer's wife remains in the kitchen by the old stove. She bakes pies and breads, but mostly drinks vermouth out of an old tin cup. Time and the farmer pay her no mind. A dirty mutt sleeps continuously at her feet. The dog never bothers to lift his head or growl. He just lies there. He never moves. And this last one, if you is by Indigo Hotchkiss, which some people here may know.
a long-term.
Great poet.
Yeah,
Great.
and this is in here, so I think, oh, great, I'll do her. This is called The New Moon, and this is my last piece of the evening before we have the next reader. I remember now. Never mind. Here we go. The New Moon. I can't remember everything. That's what my mom always told me. I'm not going to do it.
Sharon.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Sharon. Thank you. See, someone would get that. Anyway, here we go. The new moon follows me like grief, rising with Venus along the silver snaking river and bay of drifting distant lights, where I weave my way to a burial gorge that waits to embrace me like a witch in the snow. The moon, enclosed in a myth of clouds, disappears into a tangle of eucalyptus and appears again like the goddess, shining from the estuaries along Tamales Bay, where I go to dig up the one I buried. But he appears in my dream alive and whole. It's time to let go, says the moon, its hooked reflection over boats and rocks divided by one long black streak above the San Andreas Fault. Grief has finished carving her temple. You can let the new moon come home. And it comes like a pillow of light in the forgotten garden, pregnant with desire. And I woke up singing of two sleepy people, too much in love to say goodnight.
Give me the Hotchkiss, ladies. All right, now from the Hay-Ashbury Literary Arts Journal, a fine thing. And now the adventurous Sharon Scott Kish will come before your eyes. Wow us, and then we have a feature which we will take care of introducing in a fair and equitable way, and we'll schmooze that and make it all perfect. Welcome. Oh, is that Sharon Scott? Oh, let me just move it down a bit here, dear. I'm sorry. You know how I am. Maybe you don't, but that's all right.
Sean, hello, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Okay, and this is Martin Luther King Jr. Nothing in the world is more dangerous than a sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity.
Yep.
And this is from, I could chew on this, it's Poems and Things by Dogs. And this one just says food. Food, food, food. Food, 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 food.
Yes.
Who says a dog can't write a love sonnet?
Yes.
He forgot bacon.
Bacon. Okay, this one is, we're back to Kansas City.
Yeah, baby.
Okay, this is called Fiddle Dee. Merle was a funny little woman, born with a birth defect. She had one hip higher than the other, and a barrel chest and a limp. She was only about 4 feet 8 inches tall. George, her husband, was a nice, quiet man. He was a shade tree mechanic. That's what we called men who worked and fixed cars in their yards. Funny little Victorian house, shotgun house. You could stand in the front and shoot a gun straight through without touching anything. The house was a child's dream. Tools, books. Merrill was a beautician, so the kids always had things we wanted to see. You could go through the house. She had curling irons, metal wave clips, tiny gas burners to heat the irons, pressing combs, combing oil, big jars, pomade, a variety of chairs for clients to sit in, an old pink drying chair with masking tape. We loved her. Coffee, black like licorice, small ashtrays full of Folgers coffee cans and cigarette butts. On the kitchen wall, pictures of Lena Horne, Josephine Baker, Rita Hayworth, a young Dorothy Dandridge, Ethel Waters, Shirley Scott, Freddie, everybody, Freddie Washington, Ava Gardner. Pick out a hairstyle, I'll burn it and make it happen. A big jar of iced tea always in the refrigerator. In the summer, pink lemonade. We loved her. In the oven, she always had either chicken or fish resting in a metal pie tin. Sometimes on the table, there were remnants of a church dinner. she had purchased from some of the churches, jars of honey from neighbors, jams, donations by neighbors and clients, a pan under the refrigerator to collect the seeping water in warm weather, and in the back door was open. George usually put a new screen on every summer, which the colony of cats she fed quickly destroyed, so that they could have entrance to the house. Behind the stove or in the closet, there was a usual place, the latest group of kittens. Just anybody, free for the asking. Wall plastered with stubs, latest numbers list, the numbers man had left off. Local numbers runners and brookies loved her because they always had cash. And this meant if they had a little money, new tires, maybe a big yard party for the rest of the neighborhood, entire block, no one was fused to a little cash if they needed it. She would break down sometimes in a little dance from her crackly radio. She loved Johnny Hartman, Duke Ellington, Benny Moten. Those were her favorites. You could always count on her for the latest news constantly spilled in her chairs. Kids just loved to wander through the kitchen, bedroom, living room, dining room. In order, as far as we were concerned, it was fabulous. Our parents thought it was horrible. But us kids, it all made sense. Our favorite room was one next to the kitchen, small bedroom, stacked to the ceiling with National Geographics. And underneath that was a violin. It had been given to her by her father, and her father had been given it by his employer he had driven for. She would show it to us. We knew not to touch it, for we knew that we looked up the name and we knew it was precious. She told us that if any of us wanted to play it, she would pay for lessons, but nobody really wanted it. No kid showed any interest. Most kids took piano, dance, some voice, some drums, or a trumpet. An accordion, some of us took, but after we learned Lady of Spain, that went to the basement.
That's where I left off.
Winter in Kansas City can be cold, damp, wet, snow, plowing snow, salting the streets, chains, old houses, damp, windy, creaky. In the fall, you have to get ready, tighten up the house against the elements. Older homes were almost impossible to seal. Elements, no matter how you did it, there were still leaks. But the heating was always nice, and was always nice in her kitchen because she was doing hair. She had the hot combs going, she had the oven going, it was toasty. The peeling wallpaper exposed the plaster lap, and there he was, the skeleton of the house. Fire! Fire! Trucks are bringing. Here they come, down the street. Phones are ringing. Merle and George's house is on fire. It's early Saturday morning. Everyone runs over. House is in flames. All men are trying to help it. It's not happening. The fire people can't get it down, but the men pull the house away pull the window away from the house because this is an old house. And we are racing around. The kids are going, get the violin, get the violin. And the firemen are saying, what's the big deal? And we're saying, get the violin. Finally, Mrs. Hutchinson says, get in there and get that violin. He says, the fireman says, well, what's the big deal? She says, get the violin. Finally, they get the violin and it's saved. Mrs. Hutchinson took it home. Her son Donald took lessons. Quite good, we hear. And he went back east to someplace that starts with a J. Oh yeah, Juilliard.
We're going to get ready here for just a moment. Yeah, I need to talk just for a second here so I can organize it. So, oops. So I was going to do this, and then I'll turn it over to you. And then, the only other thing is, at some point on there, I'll have the names of the people who are here. Okay, so I'll read this, and I'll turn it over to Mike.
Lisa is actually going to read first.
Oh, okay.
Virginia was going to read first. Sorry.
Okay, so, no, I mean, like, you would like
Yes.
do a little tiny introduction, then whoever does the reading.
Totally.
Okay. Thank you. All right, I just wanted to do a little bit of things like that so we know what we're doing.
I won't look so foolish.
Too late.
I like this name. So a little bit of a background. I went down to the, was it the West Coast Poetry? Or was it? Central Coast Poetry Show. Big Jim Russo. He has actually featured here a couple years back, and then we talked over the years and kept in contact. And then he said, "Why don't you come down because we're going to do a taping?" And in the course of doing that, I met Micah, and she said, I thought, "Wow, what a great poet." She said, "I'm part of a group." I said, "Bring the group." And so tonight is the result of that. We have a group of them here, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So I printed out something that she sent me. Says, "My way, I'm going to introduce this," and she's going to introduce them more specifically. And this is our feature of the evening. So I'm so happy. I'm just like, yeah, but never mind. Okay, so this year's legendary collective slam team consists of Micah Miller, Raggedy Andy, Fortino Vasquez Hernandez, Zoe Willits, Risa Mickland.
Thank you.
There we go. Risa Mickland and Jordan Wilson, who earned their spots on the team through a series of slams over this last winter, culminating in the slam finals this April. Since they have been working together to prepare their poems for the 2018 Southwest Shootout Regional Championship in July, which is going to be held in New Mexico. It says here, great place. The team won both individual and team division and are excited to bring their work to you this very evening. So this is going to be really cool, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to have Micah come up here and say a little bit more specifics, and then we'll get started. Micah?
Give her a nice round, please. This is her first time here. First time. In fact, it's all their first time, so we get to do this 3 times in a row.
Thank you guys so much for having us. We're really excited to be here. We're so sorry that we were late. We didn't realize how late we were going to be. But we're really excited to be here. So we are a slam team. Do you guys know what slam poetry is?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so for you then, slam poetry is just like normal poetry, except we shout a lot. It's great. And we get scores on our poems a lot of the time. So we have 3 minutes or less to perform whatever we want, and then you get 5 judges score out of 10, and then the top score and the low score are dropped, so we get a score out of 30. And so we compete for spots on a slam team over the course of the slam season, and so the 6 of us got spots on the team this year, and then we compete in regional competitions. So we went to New Mexico and we actually won our team competition. So the big thing about slam for tonight is that we react off of the energy that you give us. So if you like something, you can snap, you can say yes, woo, and just give us a lot of energy and we'll try and give it back to you. So I'm going to introduce Fortino Vasquez, my teammate. He's going to come up and give you some applause.
First time, ladies and gentlemen.
Forgive me, everybody. I am hungry, tired, and I need to use the restroom.
Let me turn it down there. That's a lot.
Gives me a lot of energy.
Is that your phone?
No.
Si puedes hablar los lenguajes, esconde el que es menos popular. Los que no entienden solo van a criticar porque aborrecen la idea de no saber lo que tú dices. Si hablas los lenguajes, guarda tu lengua. Asegúrate que nadie sepa que tú eres diferente, que tu idioma viene de otro país. Esconde tu acento para que indicar a la gente que tú no eres aquí, que no eres americano. Si hablas dos lenguajes, sea mejor que te avergüences la primera. Si tus padres te criaron con su lengua nativa, niégalo. Niega tus raíces, esconde tu cara de nopal, no enseñes que tu piel no es blanco, asimílate. Conviértete parte de este sistema, edúcate. En sus escuelas aprende inglés sin barreras. Recuerda que la única frontera que existe es tu lenguaje, tu cultura, tus creencias. Si hablas los lenguajes, put one over the other. Habla a little more like this, esconde that. Let's speak a little more like this. You're an American now, but we speak English. Speak English. Porque es tan difícil to get Spanish. If you speak 2 languages, make sure that everyone can understand you. Accommodate your tongue to the ears, fine tune, white tune the frequencies in your throat. It's the only way your voice will ever be acknowledged. Nadie te va a entender si hablas así. If you speak 2 languages, erect a border on your tongue. But the distinction clear both languages and opposite sides, practice one more than the other. So never forget how the words sound. The way your tongue rolls, the culture connection that comes with being bilingual tu abuelita. No te va a entender para nada. If you remember, don't get caught speaking Spanish, so remind them that you're different. that your tongue could exist on multiple worlds, conjure multiple words. It's a threat to them. It's the very reason why they read Columbus, your tongue, knowing that your language was colonized before. If you speak two languages, act as if you only know one.
Yeah.
Hold no pride in the culture that comes with the culture and appreciate the right taste of American twang. After all, you run the risk of being targeted for being different. You'll fear being hurt, speaking Spanish, studying or straight in that accent. Show me you're a coconut. You know, white on the inside but brown on the outside, not a threat but a token voice is seasoned there. American English, we speak two languages. Remember, you only speak one. The barbed wires in your tongue servers remind me you must keep the two separate, but I speak both. But certain circumstances left kids like me pronouncing myself in one, and I wonder how many of you tuned me out when I started this poem. Did you even attempt to meet me halfway? Am I supposed to speak just like you in order to be heard through that pigmentation or any factor of barrier between outer communication? So if you speak two languages, remember, society will push you to voice yourself in theirs. The system will whitewash the flavors in your tongue until there is nothing left. And if you assimilate well enough, you won't have a problem. You'll just be another kid with a border on your tongue.
Yep.
Yeah, that poem's about 4 years old. I'm so glad I got to share that. I'm trying to, well, my name's Fortino, or Tino for short. I am part of this team with everybody. Sorry we all couldn't make it. Yeah, slam poetry is really beautiful in the sense that it gives an avenue for people of marginalized communities to really kind of talk about their experiences and kind of be like, okay, well, you got 3 minutes, make it short, sweet, and hot, and everything. So that's kind of what I think this avenue itself is really dope, and I think it really pushes people to like tell their stories and everything. I think that's one of the main reasons why I really enjoy this is that more than just a career or anything, but also just something that as a hobby, as like something that's actually kind of really saved my life, pulled me out of my own depression and everything. It's real. So yeah, the last one you guys heard is Lenguajes. This one is Plexiglass. I lost track of the amount of times I was assumed to be Native American by white people. It is a frequent occurrence. Someone somewhere will always reduce me to my looks, my hair, a footnote, a how, salute across the Santa Cruz levee, a spirit animal they have no right to claim. It's like I'm plexiglass at a museum. They see through me and it's like Western expansion never happened. And unsuccessful in their inquisition, deemed necessary to Columbus's body, to put their foot in the mouth and ask questions of, what tribe are you from? Do you speak Cherokee? You must be Aztec if you have that long, pretty hair like that, right? But they gawk in disbelief when I say I identify as Mexican American, for not being the Pocahontas in the fantasies, for daring to make brown and beautiful synonymous without the permission of white skin. And I have no idea what you mean by native, Indian, or indigenous, but you will never fail to tell me the 1/16th on your mom's side raises the dead in your blood and speaks to me like you know better than I do, like there was always an entitlement to land, or language, or a name, like you aren't the reason I'm reminded of all the things that I can't claim for my own. So I'll set the facts straight for you. You cannot simplify all native folks into one people and the one who benefits the most from the displacement, as no one ever died for you to be here. Like it's fathomable that English is our most fluent language, inappropriate our looks, profit of our culture, make us validate ourselves to your gaze. But plexiglass raises none of these questions, becomes complacent in the identity you place them in, still uses white skin as a common denominator. The object which you all gaze through shows you some racist caricature, brimming of a culture you claim you're all familiar with, then disregard the native bodies that are alive. I'm not pressed against the glass, so close you don't ask consent to touch, like you witness in the Bible, some extinct species waiting for me to reach forward in my grandmother's tongue. Wouldn't that be nice? Speak like your grandmother. Like you didn't attempt to write down every word she told you, only to have to say mijo. There is no alphabet for that. And you see, this is how you've always given in to the gaze. Hate how you use the oppressor's tools, but still wish to be indigenous. Like that's supposed to mean something, like you want this brown skin to earn its dignity. A name, a language, a right to land, a right to call himself indigenous without the shame, without learning every history lesson, without feeling like plexiglass. Uncomfortable in your scrutiny, like a corpse on display, glared at for all the features to be attracted to. Colonizers should not be allowed to speak on the identities of those whose land they still occupy. You're not going to find my body, acknowledge this being until you recognize the genocide in your blood is unwashable. I will stuff at put down your third person. One more question, I'm a heritage that is unsolicited. This is not for you to celebrate. not for you to speculate. This body is not for you to behold or define. And yes, I look better than you. Get over it. That's my set right now. As I'm the only male poet of color on the team, so that's all you're gonna hear from me. Angry poems directed towards white people. That being said, I want to introduce y'all to the next poet on our group. I don't know how to. I was trying to put words into my mouth and so, my mind in my mouth so I could introduce my poets and my friends and everything. But I don't know. They're amazing. Micah, come kill it. Sing me.
One, we were taught to want a romance that would sweep us off our feet. A fiction Danny to my Sandra D kind of love. A Prince Eric to find me voiceless and kiss me back to speech. The picture of a woman being dipped into a kiss by a sailor in Times Square. Or, like my favorite romance, the Greek myth in which the vegetation goddess Kore, while picking flowers in a field, was lifted off the ground by Hades in his chariot and brought back to the underworld as his new queen. I wanted this too. See, these stories are what we remember women by. It is the romance, not the assault. It is the picturesque, not a woman suddenly grabbed by her hair, pulled backwards, and a mouth she didn't know forced on her own. Welcome to women's history, where you are only worth remembering for your assault story. I am so scared. My only good poems will be the ones about my rape. In the legend of Kore, after Hades kidnapped her in broad daylight, he renamed her Persephone, meaning bringer of death. The first thing that is taken from us is our names, and still, this is what you call us. Persephone, and his name rings true because Kore is killed again. Survivor, and even this is admission something vital in us has been changed. Someone calls the Times Square picture iconic again. I wonder if every time I write about my sexual assaults, my rapists pat themselves on the back for giving me something to write about.
No.
Because history says, this is my only story worthy of remembering that my Kore is gone now, and look how beautiful the art that comes from assault is. I am renamed Persephone, and I wonder if my rapists call this our love story. I grew up wanting a romance that would sweep me off my feet, and how was I supposed to know this different when we call romance and assault by the same name? When either way, I am falling, and I am tired of this tumble. I want to be Alice, remembered for the wonderland after the drop. I will not be another woman forgotten except for my trauma, too. I want a romance that helps me to my feet. Better than fiction, my heart feels like summer kind of love. Not swept away, but a kiss equal, solid ground. The vegetation goddess Kore picks flowers in a field, and nothing else happens.
Right.
Hades stays in the underworld,
Right.
and no one is named Persephone. My boyfriend brings me a bouquet of sunflowers. He knows how much I love that stands to face things much bigger than them. He says they remind him of me. So here's a poem about alcoholism now.
Love it.
1. My boyfriend has an affinity for whiskey. Barrel aged, he sips it like it's the gold of its coloring. When his throat burns, he likes to taste the smoke, and this is something I've always known of men. 2. My family's history books are written with pages on how we are descended from the namesakes of a small village in the Netherlands. Of the 2 brothers who were to inherit their father's money, one was told he'd have to give up drinking in exchange for this inheritance. He refused. Guess which branch of the family tree my name is carved into? 3. My partner's favorite way of consuming whiskey is a drink called an old-fashioned. This is funny because in terms of relationships, these are words that scare both of us. 4. My aunt, though not connected to my village namesake blood on the other side of the family, followed in my some amount of great-grandfather's footsteps almost perfectly. This means that when we adopted my baby sister out of my aunt's arms, her 3-year-old mouth, a close copy of her birth mother's, asked if she could call me mommy. I guess the best way her young being could define the word was an older woman she only gets to see sometimes. I wonder if my aunt thinks about this every time she uses a corkscrew or a bottle opener. 5. On the rare occasions that my boyfriend and my dad are together, they usually converse in the way of sharing drink recipes. This form of bonding seems to run in my family too. 6. Sometimes I wonder if, when I turn 21, some longing inheritance will unearth itself in the depths of me. Some familiar tradition that makes my lineage drink our libations until we swallow the celebration we poured them for. I think about this whenever I see a corkscrew or a bottle opener. 7. Unlike that I'm scared lives hidden in my bones somewhere I cannot find, my boyfriend knows how to make one drink and then stop. 8. This is a trait I admire but cannot count on inheriting. 9. He does not sip his whiskey like a compromise. 10. I spill my water like one. 11. My ancestry is chiseled into the shape of a throat or a bottle, and I cannot seem to tell which one. 12. I think about this whenever I see a corkscrew or a bottle opener. Before my wonderful, wonderful teammate, Risa Meekland, the youngest member of our team, is going to come up and share some of her amazing, gorgeous poetry. So this last poem is in memory of my grandma, Siglinda Gotthold, who passed just about a year ago, and I was really remembering her last night, so I felt called to read this. When I was small, I could never understand my grandma's fear of water. I learned my Pisces, and they called me fish. In her eyes, blue as the water she feared, never smiled like her mouth did. When she was small, running from swastikas in a war she was birthed into, she crossed a frozen river, watching ice break and people disappear around her. She never learned to swim. She kept going. I remember begging her to join me, overjoyed when she dipped in her feet. I remember her pride every time I made it across the pool and back, never knowing fear in her smile. She has taught me, in every way she knew, how to overcome, how to keep going, how to fear and still keep crossing frozen rivers.
Come on.
How to love someone so much you dip your feet into everything you're scared of and smile. I learn every day, every memory, every smile, how to be brave. Thank you.
Okay, but hear me out. The Romans, with their outspread, wide-reaching roads, spread too thin, overwhelmed by history, practically murdered themselves. The dodo bird had no fear of these creatures many times its size. Eaten by Dutch sailors, practically were suicidal. The mother spider stops living to provide food for her cannibalistic young, believes the world will be better off without her. So when you tell me that suicide is selfish, that it's all my fault, remember the Romans? They didn't choose to get overwhelmed. Remember the dodo bird. I trusted what tried to kill me. Remember the mother spider. Her knowing that the... Wait.
Come on. You got this.
I haven't smoked in a while. Remember the mother spider. Her knowing that the world would be better if she were consumed by it. The orphaning of her creations, all hungry for more of her. So we've got some chapbooks.
Oh boy.
Our team chapbook, it was a great effort to put it together. I sewed a bunch of these on my sewing machine this morning. It's called Righteous and Bitter.
Yeah.
It has 2 poems from each of our 6 team members, and it's really amazing. And me and Micah also have books. Micah's is called Girl to Hellfire, and mine is called Destruction Gospel. So if you want to get one of our books, support our team, support our travel expenses, we still haven't paid them off, that would be absolutely amazing, and I would appreciate you guys a lot, so thank you.
Yeah.
Can we do another call?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I was gonna say, leave us.
Yeah. It's too.
Yeah, yeah, no, I just wanted to, I thought you were stopping.
Oh, no.
Okay, all right.
When I argued to a friend that he only hit me for a couple months out of the 2 years I knew him, she said I was naming war an easy game. So, on days like this when I know I will see him, I practice being ready for battle, although I am reluctant to call him the enemy. I still remember his armor. How soft he was when it dropped when he finally used his weapons against me. Sudden attacks and sharp tongue, my shields were already down. He held my heart in his hands and twisted, and then blamed me for handing it to him in the first place. I practiced not loving him every day. But if all is fair in love and war, maybe that explains why he considered abusing me fair, because after all, it was love and war. Logical Boy says he's bored so he can justify hitting me 3 times. Logical Boy says I hit him back after he hit me first so he can hit me again. Harder. Logical Boy says me having feelings about this is weak. I name him Monster in my head and wonder if this too is weak. For a while, he was the last water available slipping through my fingers. I went through life parched, not in the aftermath of war, but in the withdrawals of love, red, tear-struck eyes, and shaking fingers and isolation. I would have done anything to go back to when it was good. Realizing that person who you love is hurting you is a process of losing them. I kept believing he would come back, nicer than he ever was to me. I'd hear his laughter in a crowd, turn around. When I heard doors open, I'd always check if it was him, and that part of me wants to give up. I am on my own side. It is so hard to be on your own side. I don't know if I deserve to win this sometimes. And if he was here, he would ask in what way me being hurt makes him a bad person. In that way, he asks how my hurt makes him the one who caused it. He would be asking why him hurting me is his fault. He had that bloodlust, part pride, part righteousness, and I didn't. I just wanted him to stop. And when the battle is finally over, and everyone goes home to their fathers who yell, Father, he's grown up modeling, and their wounds, and their violent reminiscence and unsweet dreams, we are all only at war with ourselves. Yeah. Thank you all for coming out to see us tonight. This is going to be our last poem of the feature, but I really appreciate that you guys came from your warm beds and got here and are now sitting in these chairs. So, yeah, I've really enjoyed being on this team, and it's wonderful that we get to feature together. So.
Warm bed.
Great. Great.
6 things you need to know to survive the Adolescent Behavioral Health Facility, or HELL, for short. 1. Get used to wet hands. Hand towels are contraband, a strangling hazard luxury, but blankets are fine. 2. Forget about everything you love to do. If all you can think about is your beautiful notebook and friends and ink pens back home, you won't be grateful for the 2 napkins and a banana you have in front of you. Real purple marker in hand, ideas in your cortex, at least you're alive, they said to me. Every day. Before asking how suicidal I was on a scale of 1 to 10. At least you're alive, and maybe all I can think is too bad I'm not dead, but they expect a wholesome response, so I nod. 3. There are 2 kinds of people here. Those who are sad and those I stay away from. Before you make friends, remember that everyone is here for a reason. Before the first person who said hi to me punched a doctor and drew blood 2 days later. The last thing you want to do is stay here, so 4, don't take naps, don't cry. The nurses will write it on their boards as a symptom of depression, and the last thing you want to do is stay here, so 5, don't let the blocked off windows get to you. Don't let the 23 and a half hours inside get to you. Don't let the bars get to you, even the tamest hate being contained, but the last thing you want to do is stay here. So 6. Leaving is a lot like dying and going to heaven. It's too bright, and everything is great. and you don't feel like a single piece on an assembly line being built back up again. When you finally leave, don't think about the friends you made there or about how long they might stay. After all, at least you're alive. And those who leave hell can't think about the damned.
All right. Wow.
Well, I underestimated. Great. I mean, absolutely great. I mean, another round of applause to these people. This is huge. This is huge. I really thank you. Thanked us. We thank you. We thank you. The stories, the perceptions, the reality, who you are came to us. It's communication. It's really important. We don't know each other until we tell our stories. And I thank you. I'm going to take, this is how we do things. I'm going to take this, I don't turn it off, I just turn it so it faces that wall, and that way you don't have to worry about being filmed while it continues to stream, because if I turn it off, then it may go haywire. So I always turn it that way, and we're going to take a little bit of a break. If you want to talk to them about their books, they have books. I should have asked about that, but we have them, so this is very good. So see them about that. We're going to come back. The last word is Rob. They've got Richard May, Yasmin, Nasira, Tommy Amakola-Mecca, and Terry McCarthy, and we have a double mini feature this evening on the second show. Jacob Sandigo, is that right? Did I say it right? Did I say it right? Okay, good. Okay. All right, because sometimes I goof names up, and I'm sorry, I have that one. Then we got Garrett, Dennis, Nicole, and Rob. So we'll turn this around. We'll take a few minutes break. People can talk to our features, and then schmooze.
Thank you so much.
Amazing. Wow.
Oh yeah, you're. So you're in the second show. Huh? What?
Break?
Yeah, we're on a little bit of a break. So then this is you. Yeah, so you got your 5 minutes. It looks like the time is going to work. So you don't have to worry about that. And then we'll just call you when we come up, do your thing, and we're good. And this is your first time?
Yeah.
We yell and scream and holler and make a big deal about it. Okay. All right.
And all the US. I'm not from Croatia. I'm from Croatia.
Okay, all right, no, you do what you need to.
Yeah. I don't know to read from my phone.
Okay, whatever makes you feel comfortable.
Okay.
All right?
I was supposed to have a second turn after Buford. I didn't get a second turn.
Oh my God! Okay, okay, that was me. I was bad. I goofed up. I even said it. So you know what? After Rob goes on, we'll put you on here because that was my mistake. I don't know how I did that. I wish I had known or noticed that. I made a mistake. Sorry. So Rob, then you, then Richard. I'm gonna let them know now. Okay, so what I'm going to be giving those things away. Maybe I could put one of each of those, or I'll just keep it a little bit here, and they can take. That's probably better, so that way. All right, that's good. This was great. This was like. You tell. Well, I see difficulties. You get an IQ boost if one learns that. And so I would tell you, and get it all and then I tell you, and then we can always translation. We always do that. We have a job. When you travel, I try to sell it pretty hard. I would see kids really have the advantage. As for me, it's like I started with growing up, but that's only because I was like, oh yeah, we're the visitors, get his first finished not time. I didn't choose.
My mom is Dutch, and
Yeah, I was like 18 or 19 when I found out my mom smoked in Italian. And I said, I could have been an Italian. And she said, Dad didn't like that. Italian? I mean, it would have been right.
I learned now.
Yeah. Too late. She got really mad. She was sort of speaking. She had this one thing. She said, "Don't go beast." Like that. Oh my God, what does that mean? It means raw coffee, salted coffee. But it sounds good. This is over here. We got soul beautiful. Great. Never shut up. Because you probably know you do a lot of good things. I have a. Like I read this.
Where's the next restroom? Because the doesn't work now.
I don't know. There's no, I mean, I don't know where else to go.
I didn't live up to expectations.
There was one, but should go again.
Yeah, there's one, you know, in the kitchen. He said it's broken.
They look at you and they think, whatever, and it's like, you're not that. And they, but I learned, sometimes I just say,
Relax yourself.
and then I think
Thank you
everyone
so much.
thinks I do.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at your
Not saying anything.
combination. I love it.
Oh,
That's
So
it.
pretty.
Scotch, you know. But so anyway, I'm gonna get a drink. Good to see you.
So we have our team and then we send like each one. And they're all, they're each 15 to 20. Yes, absolutely. It's a good way. Yeah, will you give me my
Did you sell it?
I sold, oh, that's.
Oh, wait.
What's the next one?
Oh, we got flyers?
I'm skateboarding, no, I'm surfing, I'm skateboarding, no, I'm surfing. No, she's my sister, no, she's my brother, no, she's my sister.
Yeah,
I want to say since 2014. I wanted to use the restroom when I came there, and I'm just saying, you can't do it. You got shopping says this is my Life book. This is the Teams book right here. Where's your book? And then if you ever want to get plugged into us and everything, you have.
I don't know how to do this, that's the problem. Yeah. We got one.
That's a flyer. If you want to ever come join us, we have every Monday. And then the last Monday is when we do the slam. Is when we do actually the more competitive poetry. Like people like, hey, score this and everything. It's a horrible contest.
It's terrible.
But it produces some really great art. It's like, hey, here's your trauma. Now give me points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Join us sometime.
There's also some pretty cool stuff
Pumpkin pie.
I'm excited to hear you.
Oh, wow, maybe I'm in the wrong time.
I'm very young.
Gwendolyn Brooks.
Yeah,
Gwendolyn Brooks. Allison.
People know you practice. I don't know. Did they know that?
Yeah, we let him know, so he's going to.
I've got to give mine. Yours got Sharon. Sharon.
Yes.
I'm gonna call.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call you. And I'll
Mistakes are seldom noticed.
So we're going to start in a couple of few minutes here, and I'll advise as advisement is advisable. Or you know what I mean. You know. Oh, wait a minute. How are you doing up here?
Where is the sign up sheet? There it is.
Maybe it's just the money was.
Oh, I see.
Go back.
I mean, remember they used to back in the 60s, they love it or leave it? Well, a friend of mine gave me a whole bunch and he said, everybody smiles. I thought, yeah, it's great. It's it.
Yeah.
When I first came in, I was
All righty, died. Judy, fruity, Judy. Judy, fruity, on Rudy. All righty, died. Oh, I might as well get started and get organized here. Give it a couple of minutes here because there's a couple of people back there. And I'm looking at the clock here. I think we're going to be all right. Okay, yeah, we're going to go. Attribution sheet. Oh, you guys get that quote on there? Yes, you. Thank you. And also the person, the book you read from. Yeah, thank you. I was going to get that and I totally screwed it up. My mom used to say about par for the course. She used to say that. She was never a golfer. I didn't know what the hell she meant by par for the course. What do you mean par? I never asked. Because if she was saying something and she was mad, and you asked her about it, that was not a good move. Not a good move. Don't ask about that when she's mad. Because she's saying something, you probably should know what it means, and if you don't,
That's par for the course.
yeah, it's par for the course.
Isn't that how you do golf?
Huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Par for the course.
Par for the course, you know.
It means what you want.
I want to say like every
Well, yeah. Par for the course.
Mostly it means
I think it's very
Yes.
But also maybe like expectations.
Right.
Right? You know, this is. Well, you're looking beautiful.
I'll take that.
There you go.
It's very,
All right, so I'll give it like a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 for you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start the second show. Rob is the kicker offer. So give him a round of applause as he starts off the second show. Following him is the Owen Dunkel, and then we have Richard May. Slight change there because of my inconsistencies and my errata. Thank you.
Okay, hello there. This is a song called Quixote. I went looking for a thief, for some predatory churl to allay their victim's grief and ease a suffering world. I found a thief, laid him low and stopped his spree. But when I looked in his eyes, all I saw was me. Don Quixote, go home and cry. There ain't no dragons, there's just you and I. There ain't no monsters, call off the crusade. There's just broken people whose lives were waylaid. I went looking for a rapist to prevent an awful crime, to keep someone's daughter being scarred for all time. I found a rapist, struck him down, set her free. But when I looked in his eyes, all I saw was me. Don Quixote, you're done. It's over, you're through. There ain't no dragons, it's just me and you. There ain't no monsters, call off the crusade. Oops, say there's just broken people whose world was waylaid. We long to slay the beast, send evil to the dust, until we realize the beast is all of us. I went looking for a killer to prevent a bloody deed, to give someone aid in their direst hour of need. I found a killer, set their victim free. But when I looked in their eyes, all I saw was me. Don Quixote, lie down, just lie down and die. There ain't no dragons, it's just you and I. There ain't no monsters, call off the crusade. Just lost lonely people, pretending no one's afraid. Don Quixote, just fall on your rusty sword. There ain't no villains, just people ignored. Don Quixote, you're done. You gave it a try. There ain't no dragons, just you and I. Just you and I. Just you and I. Just you and I.
So is this where you're two doing the thing?
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay, so then Owen will be after you. I thought, Owen can't go between you then, right?
No, I don't care.
Okay, so Owen, why don't you go now, then you'll do the duo. Okay, I thought, I misunderstood that night. I apologize because I looked at my list and I made a mistake. How rare is that? There we go.
Everybody hear me? No. Okay. Well, Sun Surf, spelled S-E-R-F. Ran brilliantly, bareheaded, confused as a lonely outcry. Running on top of a word, swords clatter to the heavens. To be lonely is to cry out in ecstasy, silent as a marsh, and a mellow moment of mallards and morbid mortals. How many angels can dance at the feet of a metaphor? A date can be as bright as the skirts, the quiet skirts that can do a street dance in the fog that reminds one it is December and time to celebrate Christmas, as people do celebrate much as I can, much as the Sphinx can tell time. Christmas sonnet. The frail sunlit room is just what I know. The lukewarm December sun is kind and consistent. The mind is much like the resistant snow that is much like the snow, yes, fake snow that turns into a real show. When darkness fails to insistent chaos, lights light up to merry halls. Instant karma, a will of nothing. More feelings grow between us. When day was bright, the night was long and cold. Merry Rosencavaliers and ghosts. The ghosts of carolers vanish, vanish. My sight is baleful, sort of happy. Many hosts hide indoors, lucky to be shed. Merry Christmas. All, Merry Christmas all. Enough said. Sistina, 2011. Last love comes out from hiding. I sit and stare at the air from North Beach to Rome. My words are plotting and I avail myself at your feet. Yes, at the feet of the Body Cafe Trieste. We sit and watch the cars move up. Watch all the watches. Hiding my eyes from reality, yes, reality. Body tales spring to valor. Vain, inane, from time to time we relent. Gates are open. Ah, hell. Hell is from your heart. You know where your head is at? From the bottom. Watch yourself. Patrons brooding. Are we now alone at night? The stars hiding from the sun, the clouds from the sky, the wind from nowhere. Body Russia, jubilant with vodka. Body and cursing with joy. Khrushchev, your commie hero, banging his shoe. Watch, wait, the stars are still hiding. Jupiter and Venus are still in Venice. From some once came nothing. Some things are worth saying. I say words are words, I think. That is, I think body phrases. But only a tear from my eyes is not a kiss from your lips. Phrases are like phases. Watch, waste time in sentences. Hiding in haste, talk and say nothing. Hiding in taverns and latrines. Fields are flush in furtive furrows. Watch the clouds, we are spared today. Body weighs enough to play the fife. Your lips still clash with new men from psyche and are still faithful to body tasks. Water, sky, the blue, your eyes are the way I say. Flower from. The El car is like tradition to me as I climb aboard and take a, thank you, a baleful look near the cold, windy sky and Brothers Pizza. Brothers Pizza reminds me of Sylvia Plath. Sexy Sylvia Plath, beautiful blonde Libra. Memory strikes rhyme, remembers memory, is lonely on the right side of beautiful. Duel at noon. Again the dull, hazy brooding sky. The flag lazily flowing to the breeze that binds the day like a day I like, that winds and stops my feelings that drag along like the lazy street, the rag of sun and wind. I scurry along, grind the teeth in marrow. My mind is so clear and forgetting. Stag and buxom fairies mingle on street terms and talk of the times as I cross the busy street concrete as though it were my legs. Mime and sing for dimes and jubilation. T. Cornpone, Al Cap, I see.
All right, thank you, Mr. Austin.
Thank you very much.
All right. And then who was the co-performing with Rob? Pardon me.
So we're going to do a piece that was written by Edward Albee, and it was written in 2000, and it was on Broadway in 2002, and it won Best Play. And this is the end of Act 1, and the play is called Who is Sylvia?
Who is Sylvia?
All right, go on. How'd you fuck it up?
What? Wait, fuck what up?
Your life, apparently. You and Stevie.
Oh, that.
Getting an answer out of you is...
Okay, look, right. As I told you, I have never been unfaithful. I've never needed it. Never.
Yeah, you told me.
And then, one day.
And then...
And then one day.
That's it?
And then one day, well, I was house hunting, barn hunting actually.
What?
Stevie and I had decided that we were going to get a country place. You know, we deserved it, you know, and an old farmhouse maybe. And so I was in the car about 60 miles out from the city, and I found a place, a wonderful old place. Yeah, and I called Stevie and I said, you got to see it. And she said, a farm? And I said, no, but wait. And so I put a hold on it. And the real estate guy was fine with that. And so I was driving, back out to the highway, and I stopped at the top of a hill.
Crest.
Right. And the view, I mean, it wasn't spectacular, but God, it was wonderful. It was fall. The leaves were turning. And the town stretched out below, and the great scudding clouds, country smells.
Ah, cow shit and all that.
You city boys. Anyway, so, I was standing there, and I could trace the roads leading out toward the farm, and
it gave me a kind of a shiver.
Yeah, the ludicrous often does.
Anyway,
Anyway,
well, I was getting back I was about to get back in the car, and I had my loot, vegetables and stuff, and suddenly I looked up and there she was, just looking at me.
ha! Daisy May, blonde hair to the shoulders, bare midriff, blonde at the navel, piece of straw on her teeth.
No, you don't understand.
What? No big tits, no blonde hair?
No, and yeah, but you can understand me. She was just looking at me, with those eyes.
Well, did you talk to her?
Did I what?
Did you talk to her?
Yes. Yes, I did. I went up to where she was standing, and I touched her face. And I don't want to talk about it. I can't talk about it.
Okay, all right, fine. I'll help you. You're seeing her.
Yes. Oh, yes, I am seeing her.
Okay, now we're getting someplace. You're having an affair with her.
What? Having a what?
You're screwing her.
Yes.
And
Oh, Jesus.
and you're in love with her.
But yes, that's it. You see.
What do I see?
I am seeing her. I'm having an affair. No, that's not the right word. I mean, I am screwing her, as you put it. I mean, all of which is beyond. Yes, I am doing all of that.
And you're in love with her.
Yes. Holy Jesus. Oh, Sylvia. Oh, Sylvia.
I almost dare not ask this, but who is Sylvia?
I cannot tell you.
If not me, then who? You can't tell Stevie.
No.
Then who is Sylvia? All right. Huh.
Don't laugh, please. Don't laugh.
This is Sylvia.
Yes.
This is Sylvia, who you're fucking.
Don't say whom.
With whom you're having an affair.
Yes.
How long now?
6 months.
My God. Jesus Christ, you've got to tell Stevie.
No, I could not do that.
You have to. And if you don't, I will.
No, Ross, please. You can't.
You're in a lot of trouble, buddy.
What, I am?
You sure are. You sure are.
Ross, you don't understand.
This is a goat. You're having an affair with a goat. You're fucking a goat.
Yes.
He did the heavy lifting.
Well, Yasmin, that brings us to you. You're gonna have to. Thank you. Do you have the attribution thingy?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Santa Cruz. Oh.
Okay, this novel is set in the 50s and 60s. I don't know if anybody remembers, but India had just come out of independence, and Nehru was the first Prime Minister of India at that time, so Jawaharlal Nehru. So. That night I made friends with a papaya tree outside my window. It stood outside garlanded with fruit in the shape of breasts on fisherwomen. The previous monsoon had been fierce and papaya tree had slanted closer towards my window. In the wind I heard it whisper and I began to talk back to the papaya tree. I spoke to the tree that night about the convicts in the jail. I told it about the upper room in the Colaba police station which faced my window and about the shadows of men in the room, of men swinging their belts at other men with their hands tied behind their backs. I could not see the faces of the men in the shadows, but I saw the scars on the cheeks of the men in the jail. I'd learned to tell which of them had been freshly inflicted. I told the papaya tree all I could not tell father or mother or brother. And after I told the papaya tree, I fell asleep, not afraid of the dark, but of the shadows within the dark. The next morning, people climbed up lampposts and hung effigies of politicians. It was election time. They hung white cotton masks under their light, which looked black in the sunlight. The signs on the effigies read, "Kill the Congress Party." I dressed up these effigies in my imagination. They became my dolls. The servants came running into the room. They said, "Hiram, you aren't dressed yet. The Mem Sahib, she will make mincemeat out of us." They pulled us away from the window, pulled me away from the window. Half an hour later, after I was dressed, I was led to mother, who hugged brother and me. "This is the most memorable day of our lives," she said. She cast one loving glance at father, then walked over and adjusted his belt. "Your father is going to be honored." We danced around mother, holding the end of her loose black hair, holding the end of her silk sari, raising up and down like balloon. Where, we sang. She lifted one finger to her lips and said, "You will see." On one end of the Maidan, crowds pushed against ropes held by fences by policemen. We sat on the platform at the other end. Mother wore her pearl necklace, which looked blue against her chiffon sari. Mother wore chiffon only to very special places. She always wore hand-spun khadi, as asked by Gandhi. She sweated and drew out a handkerchief from between her breasts repeatedly. She flapped the end of her sari, driving away the flies. People greeted mother as they took their places on the platform. Over the loudspeaker came the sound of the national anthem. It was deafening. A constable ran over to transmitter and softened, just as a deafening cry rose from the crowd. "Jawaharlal Nehru, Zindabad," they shouted in unison. They pushed against the ropes. A man in bright white tunic stood on the platform in the middle of the field. Even from the distance at which we sat, we were drawn to his gait, his gesture, his manner of waving his hand at the mob to quieten them. He stood in the sunlight, his face acquiring the color of the red rose he wore on his starched white collar. The police band marched into the arena with 5 officers. In the silence, facing the platform, I saw Jawaharlal Nehru pin a gold medal on father. I watched his uniform, as often in the past, pressed and clean, lying on the chair next to his bed. Excuse me, I'm just skipping a little bit here so I can get on with this. And from the police hand, his father saluted the Prime Minister. From a brief instant, the white in his uniform picked up the rainbow colors from the blaring sunshine, and then the crowd broke the silence with applause. They stood up with their hands brother's shoulder, and the white receded in a striking black leather belt fastened around brother's waist. I can't read the rest of this section, but the belt is a very important symbol in this piece because it is the belt with which father is beating the convicts. So that's what it is.
Wow. Yasmin from the novel. And now I know Nasira is here. Come on up, my dear. Give her a round of applause. Then we have our dual minis, Tommy and Terry, and Jacob, and Garrett, and Dennis, and Nicole, and Rob, and Alistair Crowley, and the All Night Images.
I have a few things to read, just 2 things. For some reason, I'm nervous. I'm never nervous.
We love
You don't look nervous.
I'm nervous. Thank you, Doodle. I feel better. Not nervous anymore. Okay. Okay. Sorry if I cry, you guys. I'm a little emotional. First of all, I want to say, how are you guys?
Great.
You're going good. Right.
Don't lie.
I have underlying anxiety and paranoid schizophrenia, but you know,
I say that because you guys should try something this week. Something like when somebody asks, "How are you?" Be honest. Like, why do we say good? And we just keep going. Well, really, you're not feeling good. Like, you're having a shitty day. Say, I'm not good. Like, I'm not having a good day, but
It's
hi,
like
I'm
taking
still
all your
here.
clothes off in front of somebody. You can't do that very often.
You can. Why can't we be honest? Why can't we be raw? Why can't we be real and
Because
say?
most people don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But if
they'll
you
try to take
ask,
advantage.
this is what you're gonna get. You shouldn't ask me how I feel. I'm gonna tell you how I feel.
How do you feel?
Today, I'm feeling good.
Yeah.
I feel good today. Now, yesterday, that's a different day. But today, it's better. Conversations are no longer meaningful and no one takes the time anymore. Everything just moves so fast. And most of the words gliding off my tongue, most individuals won't even grasp. I know you're alive, but you're dead to me. I used to call you when I was beaten and bruised so you could come get me and save me from that misery. I used to look at the moon and imagine there was a different world that I would someday get to see. Shit, I used to cry myself to sleep. Daddy, won't you save me from my pain and misery? Make it all go away. Tell me that I mean something to you. Look me in my eyes and don't lie. Show up when you say you'll be there. Daddy, won't you save me from the world that swallows me whole? That's that. Okay. I was subjected to accept life for what it was, all while not understanding a bit of what it is. I watched the birds roam free and wondered if that was what freedom was a representation of. I begged God to free my mind, my heart, and my soul of things I just could not understand. My love came in abundance, and though I felt lost within the world, somehow I felt I had a purpose. Somehow it was all worth it. My footsteps paved the way for generations after me, and I instill hope in those around me, though I'm still secretly drowning. Drowning in the rains of my pain, the barriers of my brain. Dear God, I just need a change. I was born by the river. Does anybody know this song? In a little tent.
I don't know it.
And oh, just like the river, I've been running ever since.
It's been a long time coming, but I know change gon' come. So my mom used to listen to that, and I used to be like, change is coming, like, because she would listen to it, and I would feel good. But damn, the change didn't come. It's coming. So Saturday, I went for a hike, and I feel like I reached a certain height within my life. I came to the realization that everything that's torn me apart, I had to sit and pick up the pieces. And I'd go to the ocean and stare into the distance until I find a piece that I really needed. That's that.
Thank you. Let's give it up. Good job. Okay, now this evening we have a special. We have two mini features. Tommy picked up a door prize last week, and Terry McCarty, a special, is visiting. So we're gonna have both of them come up here. Tommy first, then Terry. So give him a nice fat round as he comes up here. He knows what he's doing. Well, we hope he does what he's doing. I'm stopping now.
The way to solve the AIDS problem, he said, is to shoot the queers. Shoot the queers. In the Middle Ages, they gathered the women and tied them to a stake. They lit the fire with the flesh of the queers. When I was growing up, they sometimes grabbed me from behind and dragged me into an alley. You're gonna die tonight, faggot, they'd say. But their fists could not do what I did better. Kissing Tony in that dark alley, and so scared I prayed for weeks for forgiveness. I was sure the devil had my soul. When I stopped praying, I filled myself with pills and liquor, sure that I was quieting the demons that raced through my mind. The way to solve the gay problem in Dade County in the late 70s was to kill a queer for Christ. Kill a queer for Christ. But the way it's always been done best is not by tying a queer to a stake, not by lighting a queer's flesh, not by dragging a queer into an alley. The way to kill a queer is to tell him he deserves to die and then wait for him to do the rest. That was published in several journals during the 80s. The poem was written in the 80s. And one of the journals was Amethyst in the summer of 1990.
I remember that one.
This is to the theme. He simply wanted to know if it was true. He didn't even say hello. He got right to the point. His icy voice made me shudder as it slid through the receiver of the old black Ma Bell phone on the pink kitchen wall. Is it a true what they're saying? He asked in a heavy Italian accent. About what? You would know. No, I don't. I did. I wanted to hear him say it. That you're that way, he said, after a long pause. I could hear the disgust in his voice as if he was about to spit. I had shamed la mia familia, the family, by coming out publicly, by being who I am. What way? I asked. Say it, damn it, I thought. Say the word. He wouldn't. The silence went on forever. An eternity, though I knew it was just a few seconds. That I'm gay? I asked angrily. He muttered something. I only understood the last part. Are you? I am.
He cleared his throat. Then you're not mio nipotino, my grandson. You're nothing to me. Nothing. The phone went dead. First a click, then some static, and that weird otherworldly hollowness of those ancient phone lines. I held on to the mouthpiece for the longest time. Mio padrino, my godfather, who kissed me on both cheeks when he saw me, who hugged me so tight I thought my insides would explode from my head, kept his word. He died without ever speaking to me again. Years later, at Papa's wake, I was standing on the side of the coffin with Mama and my siblings when my padrino's wife, my aunt, and their daughters approached us, hugging and kissing Mama and my siblings. They walked right past me. I wasn't invisible, I simply wasn't there. I started after them, but my sister pulled me back. It's not worth it, she said. From the corner of my eye, I saw Mama nod. At the end of the night, I turned down a ride from my brother, walked out of the funeral home alone, convinced that it didn't bother me. I would get stoned, watch TV, hug the cat, forget everything. But I couldn't. One more time. 2 minutes. Okay. Then I'm going to end with this. All right. They felled so many trees in the Amazon to graze cattle for fast food that everything is drying out, igniting. Your addiction to meat is threatening indigenous peoples who have lived there many generations. But after what you did to native peoples in this country, it's no surprise that you don't give a damn about them. America, all over the country, all over the world, the fires are raging. They've consumed some of your homes, your wine country, so many trees. Your skies are a constant smoky gray. You should be scared. But your politicians, your corporations, your preachers tell you there's no cause for alarm, and you believe them. In their eyes, green isn't the color of leaves or unripe fruit. It's the color of money. Something else you're addicted to. If it were sugar, you'd have no teeth. As it is, you have no moral compass, no conscience. Your comfort comes above all else. You still cling to that middle-class dream that was ripped out from under you a long time ago by the same people who benefit from all the felled trees and the steak you put on your table. America, you still believe you're saving the environment by separating trash into blue and green containers and cutting seconds from your showers. Even though your children are asthmatic, your water's filled with pharmaceuticals and Roundup, bad air days are the new norm, cancer the new flu. Your fossil fuels are heating up the planet, 90 degrees in the Arctic this summer. Unprecedented heat waves across the continent. The pesticides you use on your lawns, on your crops, are killing the bees. What will you eat, America, when they're gone? They're destroying the Amazon, the Earth's lungs, so you can have a cheap meal at a place that doesn't pay its workers enough to live on. Your purple mountains will still be covered in soot. Your amber waves of grains, deserts. There won't be any fruit on the plains, no pistachios or cherries. Your mythical deity has never shed any grace on you. He can't save you, America. He never could. Now you can't save yourself.
Oh!
Mr. T!
Like I said, we have a second special mini Terry McCarty, who's made the special arrangements to be here, coming from a distance, yes? And how will you kindly take the microphone? Give him a nice welcome. He's been here before, but he's a great poet. Terry Hardy. Let me get this going there. There you go.
Okay.
And you're framed perfectly, I might say.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dan and Antoinette, and appreciate the chance. It's been a few years since I've been up here, so I'll just kind of jump around between some fairly new stuff and some older. And this first one's titled "The Security State Poem." I keep my mouth shut back and forth, up and down, and when I do speak, I never, never, never talk about the president, any president. I say nothing, nothing, nothing on public social media except who will be this season's judges on American Idol. Look at that cat riding a goat on YouTube. But people want to see who I am emailing, who is emailing me, who I called on the phone, who called me on the phone, and who I called on the phone in a foreign country that already has cameras taking pictures of people just walking down city streets. How afraid should I be? And there can never be enough points about the president that we all hope will be sent back to Trump Tower as soon as possible.
Do you want me to hold that stuff for you? Okay.
So this is called Budget Blues. Lady says, let them eat cubic zirconia, while uncouth non-gentleman bakes a huge cake for the war machine with mere crumbs for those who keep believing in the necessities of food, arts, health, information. Necessities now defined a horrendous waste of money as the administrative state is forced, like Socrates, to drink hemlock, but not before watching threats of nuclear war. Opposition party not opposing enough, and press corps not wanting to ask too many questions. And this one's one in a series, the New America Part 2. Hate doesn't have to be held deep inside anymore. Now the beast can leap from your mouth, aimed at the jugular of bystanders who don't don't share the color of your skin or your safe from ICE status. Get out the smartphone and record a high-definition video of big city man cursing at his perceived inferiors so it can become viral in seconds. The string of slurs, expletives, and shaming should be a horrifying cautionary tale, but it only scares those mostly free of prejudice, and the base isn't paying attention. They choose to watch Rudy telling stories of Donald every bigot being tormented by righteous Bob and FBI spies on the TV channel that does its best to normalize verbal and legislative outbursts that trigger people like Big City Man. So I'll do something a little bit different. This is more musically inspired, and it's called Folk Music as Woolly Mammoth Preserved in Ice. And it's inspired by a special that's probably been run many times on PBS up here, like it is in Los Angeles, called John Sebastian's Folk Music Rewind. Did you see old man John Sebastian on the public broadcasting system? He now looks a little like George Segal, the actor, and sounds a lot like Peter Coyote. Did you see old man Barry McGuire singing Eve of Destruction? He now looks like a retired WWE wrestler and wears NYPD patches on his black t-shirt. Did you watch this tribute to old folk music in the comfort of your home as people protest and die in far-off lands, and America media propagandizes about Russia, WikiLeaks, Assange, and of course the timing of all of that is convenient. And did you once gather for communal singing and peaceful demonstration until you, quote, grew out of it, unquote, because too many people told you that standing up for the rights of others was passé and not likely to lead to good job offers? Of course you did. And I did too.
Right.
And stay with the musical theme just a little bit longer. And this is one of my rare found poems, and it's based on a book by the author Andy Gill about Bob Dylan. Verbal artillery trained on outsiders passing by, plus the New York City Greenwich Village folk music insiders seated at the table of Bob, wanting to see inside his mind and find out secrets, pick up crumbs, see if they too can become Dylan-esque, while Bob rubs their noses in their opportunism, telling them they would never be as successful as he, and then saving the silver bullet for Phil Oakes, suggesting Phil should find a new line of work since he wasn't doing very much in his current career. Phil Oakes handled this withering blast quite well, offering an assessment of mid-60s Dylan. You really had to be on your toes. You'd walk into a threshing machine. If you were just a regular guy, naive and open, you'd be torn to pieces. So I'll go ahead and wrap it up with a pretty short piece, and this one's called this is called Guilty. And it wasn't until a friend of hers told me something she said to him on her wedding day that I began to understand the last months of the relationship before she called it time. I've never been truly in love until now, and so I learned the truth, and the truth told me how much more I really need to learn. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator McCarthy. Traveling folks. So the next few we have Jacob, Garrett, Dennis, Nicole, and then Rob closing us. Jacob?
Yeah, right.
Is this your first time here?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Treat it like Thank you. Is that Jacob?
That is me. Well, thank you for a nice warm welcome. I want to preface this poem with a quote, and it goes like this. So, we do not want a democracy where barely 30% of the population participates in electing its own president. Here we do not want the democracy of the Ku Klux Klan. That kind of democracy we have already known in the times of Walker, in the times of Diaz and Monacanda, and in the times of Somoza. For us, democracy is to truly love one another, which is to say, to bury self-centeredness, greed, and the thirst for gold. That is to say, to bury the exploiter and raise the exploited up out of their graves. That was said by Daniel Ortega in 1984 to Lawrence Ferlinghetti, and this is my response to that quote. Central American hypocrisies, oh let me count the ways. Daniel Ortega was once a gorilla caged inside Somoza's zoo. For 7 years, Somocitas let him rot in jail, torturing him for his beliefs in the Rojo y Negro. The Sandinistas chose armed struggle over rigged elections. The Rojo y Negro represented democracy and liberation. Somoza finally fell, ending a 45-year-old dictatorship. He fled with full pockets, money acquired from stolen land, excess exports, and the blood of his own people. The Somoza family had occupied every position of power, and the U.S. just smiled at their bastards, ignoring each injustice. Current day, billboards are erected at every corner of the country, declaring that Nicaragua is love, Nicaragua is socialist, Nicaragua is Christian, Nicaragua is empathetic. Signed, Daniel and Rosario. Nicaragua is stuck in a state of deja vu. The gold of the land has been packaged and put away for the dictatorial reserve. Ortega's children run the TV programs and media outlets attempting to control the people's vision. Publications don't have opinion pieces. Each protest is met with propaganda. A smile and wave will make the front page. The Rojo y Negro is now a facade. The Sandinista party shows no resemblance to Augusto Sandino, who died for the disenfranchised, not the wealthy and prestige. Families survive off $2 a day while he continues to add to his 15 millions. There is no room for public interjection. Ortega changed the Constitution to allow indefinite elections. Why does the Nicaragua I adore resemble Orwell's 1984? The Nicaraguan people have spoken. Que se vayan. We are here to negotiate the terms of your surrender. For we will not walk as you have walked. Do you share the same shoe size as Walker and Somoza? William Walker enslaved the Nahuatl. Now you confiscate their land. Have you reestablished the National Guard? Police and paramilitaries could patrol the streets, emulating the practices of our boys in blue. Shoot and ask questions later. You call for peace while your henchmen wave their pieces at the protesting people, wearing t-shirts that say LOVE, showing their affection with lead showers. Snipers are deployed to disrupt the Mother's March and turn the peaceful protest into a baño de sangre. More lives lost to a corrupt government. Their bodies buried alongside your compañeros. Was their death for a blind cause? How can you spit with such sophistication upon their graves? Think of the ones who died. You represent them. The ones who died delegate you. Are you too quick to forget their death? Were their souls just stepping stones to the throne? The exploited have risen once again. Many have buried their kin as a result of your sin. The Azul y Blanco wish to begin again. Your addiction to power will be your demise, and best believe it will be televised. Somoza dug his own grave, and he passed the shovel on to you. They destroyed the self-erected statues. They destroyed his self-erected statues, all signs of the man left to ruin. Your billboards will eventually crumble, and Nicaragua Libre will emerge from the rubble. I studied Darío, Cardenal, and Rigoberto. Kill a poet. We live forever. Our words will continue to prosper and plant the seeds for future generations. Overthrow a dictator, and the people shall rise to take back the land once more.
Oh!
Okay. This is just a fun one for Jack Kerouac. Yeah. I wrote after having a fun night in Vesuvius. My friend Ryan came to visit from Italy. He demands I take him to a bar. Let's drink like they do in that novel you love. On the road, right? He insists on getting 3 Jack Kerouacs once we get to Vesuvius. 1 will do, 3 will kill you. We have 4. What sane person mixes rum and tequila? I spot a rainbow in Jean Louise's alleyway. The street musicians play jazz. I don't smoke cigarettes, but I bum one off a young Thelonious Monk. The night's just begun, and we're paralytic drunk. City lights resembles a monastery. Literature is meditation. Bring a pocket home back to Rome. We find our sea legs and maneuver the paved waves. Ryan buys some tea near Washington Square. The smoke fumigates our temple. I try to move the moon, but she won't budge. We head back towards Pine, sober as a judge.
There you go.
Thank you.
Get them. Ruby. Garrett Murphy. Is that night? Garrett Murphy. He's in the house. Garrett Murphy. is that your book? Jacob, is that your book?
Yeah.
Oh, he has a book, so talk to him about this.
Oh yeah, just say anyone wants to contribute, I revamped a Nicaraguan publication called Poesía Libre.
All right.
It's local art.
I didn't. I would have said something more had I known, but people will talk to you after we get to the break in a few minutes. All right.
Yeah, I'll announce I'll be co-featuring at the Frank Best Center on this coming Saturday at 7 p.m. That's over in Alameda. 3 travesties and then many. From the whole of Africa, they were snatched by raiders, random without regard to region or clan or family, shipped away from far from connections to home agriculture to be split further and further from legitimate names. Today, the names are the same as those of the captors, and connections are to this day irrevocably lost through years of splitting and mixings and mix-ups. They had to make an all-new culture like a jigsaw puzzle with at least half of the pieces lost, stolen, or destroyed. In many ways, for oppressors, theirs are the ultimate result. Already on the land was another cultural group who nonetheless was also believed illegitimate. They were ravaged and savaged and wiped out by invaders, and as if that was not more than enough, their families were also deliberately torn asunder, carted out to good Christian white families so to learn the real culture in place of their own. Wiping out the connections to ring-the-mingle or starvation took an act of Congress to put a stop to that, though the damage will and has lasted much longer. Now the notorious mentally truant delinquents known as Little Jeffrey Sessions and Little Johnny Kelly dare to deliberately pull migrant children from their parents under the usual tactic of a tough deterrent. T-Rex tactic or tyrant decree are more apt monikers for that diabolical plot. The goal is, of course, a reprise of the usual kill they desire of making America lily white. The adage, what does not kill you makes you stronger, conveniently neglects to add the postscript and ages you, which of course is another desire of the would-be enforcers, namely the figurative and literal elimination of culture. I would rather mean way. Here's what I mean. What do I mean? I mean that one has to have the means so not to be mean, or being mean to stop the means. Meaning the instinct to justify the means, but let's find the means to expel the mean from the spirits, and that shall be the mean to a well-meaning world. We all should well mean it. Back in the news of late, the sinking tower of rhymes with Crisco. Like present-day imitators of Yertle the Turtle, the city parents and developers did at this time. All they really had to do was to simply build a new transit center, but of course, who do we think we are? Anyone can build a simple transit center, but we're SNF, the city that really knows how. There's nothing going higher than we. We'll build us a transit center capped by a building that'll really help to build us up to the stars. So they built up and built up and built up some more, and behold, that tower was built, a marvel of the ages. But what's that odd sound, that sinking sound, not quite the burping sound of a mech, but equally ominous? A gasp roars out, and it's plainly clear that that tower has begun to sink like paralysis into the earth. Those developers might have dared to rise to the star, but it appears they may really sink to the fallen stars. They really should have known that to build up on sand, something enough to grow through hourglasses, so sorts of hubris to city leaders and builders. But you can never keep a big ego down for long. Hey, look on the bright side, at least we've done Italy a few better. They just have a leaning tower of Pisa, but we have, ladies and gentlemen, the sinking tower of, well, you know.
Always great. And now we have another debut performer here, Dennis. Come on up. Dennis, he's been waiting, and now he is on. I don't hear it.
Thank you guys for a very warm welcome. And I want to say, are you ready for stand-up comedy? Yes? Okay, I'm not telling you I'll be funny, but I'll try. Maybe when I finish you will be more depressed than now, but who knows? Okay, this is one of my first stand-up comedy in English and first stand-up in the US. So I think you are the first victims of my humor.
Oh. Well.
Thanks. I'm from Croatia, and my English is not so perfect, as you see. Yeah. I know I don't talk like guys from CNN, but I can tell you the same bullshit if you want. So if you wouldn't laugh of my jokes, I would console myself that is because of my broken English, not because I'm not funny. So every time since I came here, every time when somebody asks me where are you from, I say I'm from Croatia, and they say, Russia. I say, no, that's really driving me crazy, you know. I said, what are you so stupid you don't know where is Croatia? And they say, oh no, we exactly know where is Croatia, but your English is like Russian. But I need to say this. Since I came in the US, I feel like I'm stepped into TV because that's how much I really obsessed, you know, with American culture, movies, series. I watched that in Croatia. So when I came here, I was looking the streets, houses, cars, everything that looks like, oh my God, it's like on TV. You know, and especially the cops. Cops looks like actors, you know, like really bad actors, because they don't do nothing, you know. I saw on the market a few days ago, you know, one homeless guy taking a drug, and officer just standing and just doing nothing, just thinking maybe he could pass or something. Yeah, I don't know. And the other day, I swear this was the truth. One homeless guy was drying. He was how do you say? I saw two cops standing above one homeless guy while he was drying on the floor or something, you know, and they was just staring on his masterpiece and they just talking probably. I was thinking they probably talking like this. What do you think? Do you think his yellow describes his feeling the best now? And the others probably goes like, sir, put red color more. Thank you. So now I'm living in Castro, and I really like Castro because in Castro it's like almost it's a sin if you are straight. I mean really. So I really like there because Castro is the mecca for gay people, and that's really awesome. And I think that that's like Vatican for Christians. So I text to my gay friends in Croatia and I say, oh my God, if you're gay, you should come at least once in your lifetime and you stay like forever. I'm gonna move here next year, probably. Okay, how about Trump? Do you like jokes about Trump? I'll try.
Dumpster!
Okay, I really hate when people say the social media is a waste of time and money. That is so not true. I mean, look at the Trump. He's spending the money of taxpayers and he tweeting the whole day. Yeah. So, okay, and I also saw one guy on the street that was really also happened, you know, on the street, on the Market Street, and he has a big transparent, you say it like this, yeah, transparent, with caption, let's keep American great. I think with Trump, really, he totally missed the point. For Trump, it's more like this, let's keep tweet. Okay. And the last one, I'm a trainer besides a comedian. I'm trying to be a comedian. Besides that, I'm a fitness trainer. And my friends very often ask me advice, you know, how they can get in shape quickly, of course, yeah. And my friends ask me how I can lose weight quickly. I say, buy a bike and ride, and you're gonna lose the weight, you know. And so we went to the shop and start looking for a bike, and she was looking for one for $200 and other for $3,000, you know. And she asked me which I should choose, and I said, I'll take this expensive, you know, for $3,000. And she, why am I get in the shape quickly with this expensive bike? And I said, of course not, but you will not have the money for the food. Thank you, that was me, Danny Jason. You are really awesome. Thank you so much.
The voice of Croatia, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Can I make one picture with you?
Oh, yeah.
About, you know, some
He's going to take a picture. Oh,
yeah.
Look at that.
You know, I can record. Okay, record. Just say hello, Croatia.
Hello, Croatia! Thank you so much, guys. I really love you.
All right. Nicole, I should have given you more of a forewarning, and then we have Rob closing us out. And then we'll take care of the door prizes. And then Michael Nesmith will be performing here on the sidewalk.
I heard it's his last time he's performing.
Yeah.
Wow. He's not performing anymore after this.
Yes, that's it. He's done.
Hey.
Hey!
So the theme is unforgiving, and this is titled Poop.
I'm not gonna forgive you.
I'm going to tell you why I won't forgive them. Because they smell bad as slippery dog poop. Who can forgive poop on the sidewalk? It's gross and stinks. Call me judgmental and unforgiving, but I don't care what you think. I hold my lips tight together, clenching my nostrils tight. Can't stand their smell, barely can stand their sight. I smell and hope. I smile and hope they'll go away. They smile back. Stinky smiles, poop smiles, looks like they're here to stay. I'm not forgiving them or anything. Slippery dog poop is unforgivable and disgusting. Then it happened yesterday, like tasting for the first time. It exploded on my taste buds. My poop smelled so bad I almost went blind. I saw a big pattern in my life. Been unwilling to admit my poop smelled real bad, and I stink too. When you give up and admit you stink, don't waste your time checking their shoes for your poop, because it's you who stinks. Guess I'll apologize, admit it's not just them. But wait a second, they're pooping again. No, now I definitely don't want to be your friend. I was about to wave my white flag, but then ripped it apart. You did it. You did it to me. Poop on my shoes. So what if my poop smells bad? You started this first. Yes, you did. You did too. You blame me, so I blame you for poop on my shoes.
All right, Rob is closing us out for the second show. And as he comes up here, I'm going to let you know next week we have Jack Foley and Sung Yin Lang, a great couple, a great set of poets. Jack has been around for decades. And now we have Rob coming up here with his furniture moving act. What wonderful work he does with the table.
I love the drum.
I actually delivered a sideboard this week to the Pelosi Mountain House in Calistoga.
Oh, the Pelosi Mountain. I didn't know there was a mountain called Pelosi.
I don't know if it was that Pelosi, but it was a mountain lair.
Yeah, mountain lair. Nice.
All right, I need a little help on this one. Something light to end our oft-heavy night. Your job is twofold. When I point to you, I need you to shout out, "No recrimination." Easy enough. And your other job is when I sing with this note, ooh-ee, 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 ooh, you sing back, ooh-ee, 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 ooh, and then I'll sing, and you sing back. All right.
I'll do the bass line.
Peasy. This is called the Unrecriminational Anthem. I can't relate to people who drink. I can't relate to people who don't. Reach in my pocket, there's a kitchen sink. In dreams you will, but in life you won't. For there are no saints, there are no sinners. In the ways of wisdom we're all beginners. Capitalism is a capital crime, and no one loves like a midget mine. Ooh-wee, 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 ooh. I need a hug. No, I need three. Having too little or having too much are both spiritual assassination. The end of psychosexual alienation starts when we criminalize recrimination. Forgive ourselves, we know not what we do. We see the damage, not the dangers. We're blind to what we do to me and you. We barely see what we do to strangers. Ooh-wee, 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 ooh. Squeeze my Tell Malcolm and Ali I spurned my slave master name. Condoms cause depression, made in Taiwan is my maiden name. Outlawing slavery protects only naked bipeds, but bonobos have magic vulvas and sleep in rainbow bedspreads. Ooey, 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 ooh. Ooey, ooey, ooey. A fuck and a handshake are different only in your head. Barbarians wear tuxedos, chivalry was always dead. Is intolerance tolerable? Let's turn wine to water. I am not your son, but I might be your daughter. If it weren't for being mind-fucked, I'd never be fucked at all. It's time to burn the jails and go over the waterfall. We're so afraid of women, we cover them in makeup. We're so afraid of life, we let doctors carve us up. Ooey, 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 ooh. Ooey, 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 ooh. If you're not depressed or suicidal, you have a heightened sense of denial. I'm a sociopath and so are you. How did it happen? What can we do? Racism ain't about white or brown, only the green that ain't spread around. Prehistoric people practice radical sharing. Reintegration requires radical caring. Perpetual greed or need, that's not living. Radical healing needs radical forgiving. Every skulking thief, no recrimination.
No
Every racist belief.
No recrimination.
Every what's the line? Every murderous deed.
No recrimination.
Our endless greed.
No recrimination.
Every abandoned child.
No recrimination.
Every lawsuit filed.
No recrimination.
Every betrayal and lie.
No recrimination.
Everyone who made you cry. For Disney boys don't share their toys, and Disney girls will eat your world. Take off your clothes, wave your feet, feel your mind swirled, feel your toes curled. There are no saints, there are no sinners. In the ways of wisdom, we're all beginners. Capitalism is a capital crime, and no one loves like a midget mime. Oh, that was beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Rob, of course. Now we're going to take care of these fancy, wonderful door prizes. When you signed up, there were numbers next to your name, and now these cards, which have numbers on them and no names, shall be cut by my lovely co-host, who knows everything from coast to coast. Coast to coast and right? Yeah, never mind. Stop all that nonsense. And so,
23.
Oh, we don't have a 23.
Is not here.
Oh, 23, I didn't even have it. I have an 8.
8 is, Kudamon. Hey,
You just won.
You just won.
He's bowing out. 9.
The cursive writer.
The cursive writer.